Hey everyone, it's Dave and Olive. Thanks for joining us here at Book Blather, where we talk about the books we've read recently to help spread the joy of reading. We do talk a lot of fantasy, horror, sci-fi here, but we try to be pretty well read, so we mix it up with all kinds of other fiction and non-fiction as well. Today we're going to be taking you along on a couple short mini hauls. Okay, so today what we're showing you is a couple of mini book hauls that we've done over the course of recent months. We kind of just, when we do these book hauls, we like to show you the place. I guess Olive's done with this one. When we do these hauls, we like to show you the place that we showed up as well, to give you a feel for where we did the shopping. Each of these was, come on, you want to come up? Come on. So each of these was a, whoop. Can you fit? There you go. You comfortable now? Yeah? Okay. Anyway, so each of these hauls was basically like one book each that we got. So it was too small to do a haul video on its own. But we took video of the place, since we like to video these places for you, and we just saved them up. And so we figured now we'd show you these couple. It was really two places, but a couple trips. This first one, actually, this is called the Westport Bookshop, but this one this is very close to us, but we've lived here for years, and I had no idea it was there because it's one of those like little hidden places that's on a back street. The only reason we found it was because we used to have a really huge Barnes & Noble here. Pretty big. It was 5,500 square feet. It was one of those ones that had the cafe and everything. And, like a lot of places that have run on hard times, I guess they couldn't afford that space anymore. And then all of a sudden, one day, we actually showed up one day, and they were closed up. They were not there anymore. So I went and checked what happened, and they had moved. And they just moved, not far down the road into what had been an old Restoration Hardware. And they had gone from 55,000 square feet with a cafe down to 10,000 square feet with no cafe or anything, of course. And I thought that they did a really good job with the space. And you can see here, it's really nice. And even though it's small and everything's like really packed in, I think they did as good of a job as they possibly could have with this very limited space. And it's nice. So of course we still go, even though it's not the same Barnes & Noble, and we've been there a bunch of times since. But when we were going there one of these times, we were parking in one of the lots, but in the back street behind it, and we saw this Westport. It's called the Westport Bookshop, I think. Maybe I got that. Maybe it's Westport Bookstore. I think it's Westport Bookshop. You'll be able to see from the video here, but this place was really cool. It was it's not big, but it's one of those places where you're pretty impressed with how many books they fit in there for basically how small of a store it is. And this place is neat because when I was in there for the first time, the owner was talking to me and explained to me that they're affiliated with the Westport Library, so they really have a dual mission. They support the Westport Library, but they also employ adults with disabilities. So really cool place, really cool mission, and so we're excited to go there. So we've gone there a number of times, and so each time really like picking up one book, right? So this last time we went, we were just there, we picked up this book called The Gray Bastards by Jonathan French. This was actually an autograph version. And so this was a book. We actually started reading this already because we're pretty excited that once we got it, we're pretty excited to try it, and we're actually really like it already. We're kind of addicted to it. So we just started, but it's about the Gray Bastards. Is really this is a raunchy fantasy, and the Gray Bastards is a group of I don't know if you'd call them vigilantes, but they're a group of tough, raunchy half-orcs, and they basically defend, they defend the civilized, I guess, portions of where where humans live from any unsavory incursions by the orcs. And this, I haven't got too far in it, but this tells their story. They patrol this area called the Lotlands, and they, there's a death, and so there's some intrigue and politics and great adventure apparently. So like I said, we're really enjoying it so far, and this is part of a trilogy, so I can tell already that we're going to be reading the whole trilogy. But so anyway, so that was a good find. The time right before that, we picked up this book. Another like perfect condition, looks almost. This is called Outpost by W. Michael Gear. Again, this is the first in a series. This is relatively new. I think The Grey Bastards was like 2015 or something, the first one. This one was published in 2018. Like I said, part of a series. And it looks like a brand new copy. I mean, I'm assuming somebody read it, but it looks like it hasn't even been read. And this we picked up because we had saw Josh over at Working Man Reads talk about this, and it looked really cool. And this is this is a science fiction novel about there's a planet that was colonized, and a government ship, I think it's a government ship, shows up and discovers that it's basically the government has collapsed and it's basically run wild, and there's some little remnant. One of the main characters, I think, is a woman that's running the last remnant of civilized order there. And then there's the captain of the government ship that shows up, and I think there's some killer is loose down there, and then a ghost ship shows up in orbit around the planet that has been missing for a couple years. All of its crew is dead from old age, and there's all this evidence of a bizarre death cult there, and which I think is probably what this really awesome cover on here is showing one of the rituals from that death cult, I would imagine. So this looked really cool, and so we're pretty excited to get. We're reading like 5 books at the same time right now, so we haven't got to it yet, but we're pretty excited to start this, and I think we're going to start it soon. And then the time before that, each of those times we got 1 book. The time before that, we had picked up 2 books. One which we had already read and reviewed some time ago. I don't even remember the name of it. But another one that we had picked up, this was a little bit ago, was Summerwater by Sarah Moss. And this is a short novel that we picked this up because we had read probably 2 years ago. We had read a book by Sarah Moss is a UK writer, and as we've mentioned before, we often read some recommendations that are outside of our normal wheelhouse from Simon over at Savage Reads, who is a UK reviewer. And we had read this book called Ghost Wall, which was just a very unusual. It wasn't like one of the top books of the year, but it was memorable, and it was about this dad that was a little obsessed with reenacting some ancient culture, and his daughter that kind of just ended up going through some abuse in this process when they were camping out doing this reenactment, and it was told, and it was written in a sort of a unique style. So it was really different, and I remembered it, and I always thought maybe I would want to try something from her again. And so we saw this one, Summerwater, and this one is a very different kind of story. It looks like this is about, I guess you see the perspective of a number of different families in rental cabins in a park in Scotland, and as again, this is based in the UK, and then there's a family that shows up that I guess doesn't belong. Something wrong. I don't know what. I don't know too much about it, but then you start seeing the perspectives from these different people that are in this park as everybody becomes obsessed with this particular family that's there. So sounded interesting, short read looks like. So we picked that one up. So that was our last few trips to the Westport bookshop. We also recently made a trip. We had never actually thought about going to, until recently, about going to Goodwill to look for used books. Until we actually heard one or two people talk about this on BookTube, that's where they were doing their hunting. And so that's a good idea. How come we never thought about that before? So we do have a Goodwill nearby. This is in this is Southport, Connecticut. The Westport bookstore was obviously in Westport, Connecticut. This Goodwill is nearby in Southport, Connecticut. And so in this Goodwill, this was actually a couple of months ago that we went to this one. As you can see, there's still some snow on the ground, and the inside was it was very, it wasn't a great selection. It was very disorganized, of course, and so there wasn't much good there, in our view. But we did find two things while we were there, and the first one is The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. This is another one of those that is not, in the normal genres that we read, but as I said, we often go outside of that to try to be pretty well read, and this was another recommendation from Simon over at Savage Reads. Simon loved this book. He's talked about it a couple of times, and he just thought this was a beautiful book, and this was set in the antebellum South, and it's about two men that have a love affair on a plantation in the deep South, and I guess in the beginning it's fine, but then one of their elder fellow slaves betrays them, I guess, and reveals this forbidden love that they have, and so it's a story about that. So I don't know too much more about it than that, but based on Simon's reviews, it was something that was in the back of my mind that I wanted to pick up, and so when we saw it at the Goodwill for $1, we grabbed it. And the other one that we found there is this one, the Miss of Avalon by Marion, Zimmer, Blather. This is a really old book. This is now I know there's some controversy these days about Marion Zimmer Bradley. I don't know too much about that, and frankly, I'm one of those ones where I separate the book from the author. And Marion Zimmer Bradley has passed away anyway, so I don't even think there's any issue with her benefiting from profits. Plus, it's a used book, so I don't really worry too much about that. I kind of just separate the art from any of those issues generally, as a general matter. So this was a book that I remember seeing on the bookstore as a on the shelves as a teenager. This was published in let me see here. This was published in 1982 originally. So I was a teenager when I saw that. I guess not when it first came out, but when I saw this on the shelves, and I remember as a back then, having no money, didn't get it. This tells the story. This retells some Arthurian legends, but I think from perspectives of several classic women figures. And so this is one of those ones that I had seen a bunch of times, always wanted to get, never got it, and then forgot about it. And then I saw it there again. Looks like was never read. I mean, there's no crack in the spine. It looks brand new. Probably sat on somebody's shelf for a couple of decades, and then ended up getting donated to Goodwill. So it was $1. So I picked it up. I'm not sure when I'll get to this. Pretty thick book for us, but I can probably be read in parts. It looks like it can maybe be read in 4 parts, although I'm not sure about that because I think it's told. I think there's 4 different women that it deals with, but. Anyway, so I was happy to get this regardless, just to have for the collection, and I'm hopefully planning that we will read it someday. So that was all that we found that was at Goodwill. So, all right, so that is the end of our little bit of mini hauls that we did. A few at the Westport bookshop, and then one at the Goodwill, and so hope. Saved them all up for one combined video here. Hope you liked it in that format. Let us know in the comments if you like that or not. Or if you have no opinion about that and you want to leave Olive a puppy emoji, she always likes to see those. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so that you get notified the next time Olive says it's okay to upload another video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.